This is Arkansas Roots on listener-supported radio KASU. I'm Marty Scarbrough, with you in the noon hour weekdays and from noon to 3 every Saturday, sharing all kinds of Arkansas music from the past and the present. And I always enjoy visiting with Arkansas artists on the occasion of the release of a brand new album. And joining me today to talk about his new project titled Kingdom Domain is Kevin Tuckfield. Kevin, welcome to KASU.
Hey, thanks, Marty. It's good to be back again.
Good to be visiting with you once again. Remind our listeners about your own Arkansas roots and your connections to our state.
Well, I've been here for many years, and this album is probably numbered 9 in a list that I've had. But I live in Russellville, Arkansas, and play locally over here with a couple of guys. And this album really... we've been working on it for maybe 10 years.
Wow.
And as it just happens, we had an outlet for it. We just never finished it. And then I've been having some music played with this guy up in South Dakota, a DJ named Alan Kirkham, on a show called Circuit Rider Roundup, where they play all gospel material or cowboy, God-related material. Anyway, I came across him one day on the internet and was just looking for some place, another outlet for my music besides anything in Nashville. I'm a little bit old for Nashville now, and so I was looking for some place to play my songs. I have so many of them that they sit around and collect dust. And so I got this guy's name and sent him, and he was really interested in me. In my history, first song I recorded down in Nashville was in 1988, and we released it on a 45 record. Back then, that's how you did it. And they had a flip side, a cowboy song named One Man Rodeo. Anyway, he got kind of interested in me. I started sending him stuff, and he was playing it on his show. And because of that, I remembered this project. We just hadn't finished it. And so it was about 90% finished. And so if we had a place where it could get played, we decided, well, let's finish it and send it to him. And sure enough, he's interested. So that's how that came about.
Well, you mentioned cowboy music, but I want you to elaborate just a little bit on the style of music that you play, particularly what's featured on the new Kingdom Domain CD.
Sure. Well, original stuff was country, and I had 3 country albums out of Nashville, and then I also have 2 other gospel albums, and then a bluegrass album that is half gospel and half bluegrass material. That was also recorded in Nashville down at Cowboy Jack Clements' studio with some famous players named Rob and Ronnie McCory of the McCory Brothers. Jason Carter was the fiddle player, and they all played on that one. And so since I already had the gospel albums previously, we began work on another one. I mentioned that I play locally with a couple of guys, and we were playing around Russellville and in a couple of different counties over here together. And then that kind of fell apart, and we got together to finish this album, and we liked a couple of songs. The first cut off of the album is He Is Risen.
Well, someone rolled a stone away. Was it a thief? Well, no, it was an angel, 'cause Mary said he lives again. Savior. Well, Thomas was a doubter till the Lord gave him help. Jesus even let him touch the wounds for himself. Now he is risen, he is risen. My Lord, he is risen today. There are lilies with bloodstains, but that's all that remains. There's nobody left in that grave.
that's actually written by Paul Overstreet. I'd forgotten that, and when we got the broadcast license for that, they put a couple of other guys' names down when I got licensed for it, and so I'm kind of messing with that right now to get that straightened out, because that song is a Paul Overstreet. He's a famous writer from country music, and we always did like that one. We did that, and also Dancing with the Angels, another fun tune.
There's a pathway of darkness, there's a pathway of light, and they meet at the old crossroads. The angels are calling every spirit that will hearken. All is forgiven, lay down your weary load, and you'll be dancing, 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 dancing with the angels. Just like old Daniel in the lion's den, the door will be open and the table spread before you. Dancing with the angels while the lions roar.
The two guys I play with on this album, Carl Harris and Paul Milner, are also local over here. They're well known. Carl actually worked at the nuclear plant, and he's got a chemical engineering degree. They call him Dr. Banjo, and he's a fun guy. And then Paul Milner is probably the best bass player in the River Valley, and he's already moved on to a rock band, and so he's not playing with us now. And but he's really talented, and I'm really glad to see him go. He's playing with a group called the Tone Cats, and they play around the area. Then most of the album is from the old Heavenly Highways hymnal, if you remember that, the old shake note hymnal, where most churches had that one in the past in their pews, and we picked some out of there. A lot of old fun songs that are also played in bluegrass circles. You know, bluegrass is often plays gospel music from the old churches, like I'll Fly Away is on there.
Some glad morning when this life is over, I'll fly away to on God's celestial shore. Oh, I'll fly away.
Mansion over the hilltop.
I've got a mansion just over the hilltop in that bright land where we'll never grow old. And someday yonder we will never more wander, but walk the streets that are pure as gold.
Great old church tunes that everybody knows from the Heavenly Highway. So we kind of put those together, and one of our favorites there is Life's Railway to Heaven, which is a great old train song, and also a gospel song. And so a lot of people, a lot of bluegrassers do that.
Life is like a mountain railway with an engineer that's brave. We must make this run successful from the cradle to the grave. Watch the curves, the fields, the tunnels, never falter, never fail. Keep your hands upon the throttle and your eye upon the rail. Blessed Savior, thou wilt guide us till we reach that blissful shore where the angels wait to join us in thy praise forevermore.
This album is really bluegrass gospel.
We're listening to music from the new album Kingdom Domain by Kevin Tuckfield of Russellville. He's my guest today here on KASU's Arkansas Roots. It really is a wonderful album, and it's appealing on a lot of different levels because You've mentioned cowboy and bluegrass and country music, and there's kind of all those influences wrapped together here on this project that you've just released.
Well, and that's why we thought we'd just go ahead and finish it and release it, because of the cowboy influence that we've gotten involved in. This guy in Custer, South Dakota, I was telling you about, is with Circuit Rider Roundup, is influential and a member of the International Western Music Association, and he got me involved with them. I'm a member now, and because of his show, Circuit Rider Roundup, and his contact with me, I thought, well, perhaps there's an opportunity to do cowboy radio back here in Arkansas. And so I got the wild hair to put together a pilot show and stick it out there. And as you know, you were a big friend to me there and pointed me in the right direction. And we got immediately on a radio station at Mountain View, Arkansas, KWMV, and he was really interested, and he's encouraging and continues to encourage me to keep going. We're now at an hour format. We started out at a half an hour, and so thank you so much, Marty, for pointing us and getting us on that show. That it's become a lot of work, but it's also a lot of fun, and we get to put all kinds of cowboy and country and bluegrass on there. We've kind of opened it up to all of Arkansas, most of the genres, and like they say, you know, that we do both kinds of music, country and Western, but we're doing bluegrass now too. But we're still looking for more cowboy music. So if your listeners hear us on the show here, be sure and contact me. And if you got some cowboy recordings of your own, of course, we're trying to do a good quality studio recorded stuff. So let me know if we can put your stuff on the air. Also, we're big on veterans on the show. We've done a couple of veterans shows, and if you're a veteran and you've got a recording, be sure and send it in. We'd like to get it on there.
Well, you mentioned, a lot of people forget that Western music isn't just something that comes after country, and it is its own unique musical genre. And you've been talking about cowboy music. Why is that style appealing to you personally?
Oh, well, my son was rodeo, and he was the state champion Arkansas bareback rider in 2008, and he won the regionals in Fort Smith in 2009. And so being a songwriter from, I guess, opportunity to do well was in the 80s and 90s. I had music on a lot of cable TV stuff and through my own publishing company. But so I got my son, and we wrote a few tunes together. Along with my famous songwriter buddy, Joe Allen. I've been working from him from the beginning. He was the producer on the 1988 stuff, and we continued to work together on the other three Nashville albums. He's a famous songwriter and bass player. He was a studio session player for Don Williams and Crystal Gale. On their albums, you can find his name, Joe Allen, and he's also a songwriter himself. He actually is a very prolific writer, and he has 30 songs that Gene Watson cut. Gene Watson being a famous country singer, but he's also had cuts by Don Williams and one by George Strait and other famous songs. And probably the ones that everybody might remember is Should I Come Home or Should I Go Crazy? That's one of his. Raising Cane in Texas, another one of his. And Circle Driveway was the one that was covered a couple of times by Don Williams and Gene Watson both. So anyway, we worked together, and he helped us write a couple of the cowboy songs, and was just fun. You know, my son was a rodeo winner, and so I ended up putting out a whole cowboy album of songs that I had written, and a couple of those songs are from John Lomax. If you know him, he was he had a book called Cowboy Songs and Other Frontier Ballads, which he published in 1910. And a couple of they were poems. He lived as a kid near the Chisholm Trail, and he started writing down these cowboy songs that he heard on the trail, cowboys that were coming. And so he wrote it down, finally published a book. Anyway, I got a hold of that, and they were mostly in poem form. So I put some music to them and kind of arranged them in a chorus verse type manner. And so had a repeating chorus and turned them into a song rather than a poem, and put them to music and put them on this cowboy album. So that's where the cowboy thing started. And you're so right in that Western music is different. And if you go just west of the Arkansas state line, there's all kinds of Western music and Western cowboy poetry out there, which Arkansas really doesn't know a lot about. And so I've got involved in the International Western Music Association, and my show is now on their national web page. They repeat the show. And so we're doing cowboy poetry on my show as well. And we found a cowboy poet there in Mountain View, Arkansas, at the station that's broadcasting the show, a guy named Glenn Orland. And so I went up to Mountain View to the library to research him, and they turned me on to another guy. They've actually got another cowboy poet named Van Rosa up there. And so both of those guys had books, and so we've been reading their poems and some of their songs on the show. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, it always surprises to me in Arkansas music and culture that people may not think about. You think about cowboy culture, you're usually thinking of states much further west than Arkansas, but our state has a great heritage of that, and you're shaking your head in agreement with me on that.
Yes, there's several rodeo associations in the state, and horse business and actually cow business is still agriculture. It's pretty big here in the state. And so the opportunity to get involved there's a lot of opportunities, especially there's a whole state cowboy church association. There's a lot of cowboy churches in the state. You can find them on Facebook. They're out there doing music as well.
Well, if someone has been engaged by our conversation about what you're doing, both with your radio show and your album, first of all, remind our listeners where they can go to hear your radio show, both on the air and as a podcast.
Yes, it's actually Fridays at noon on KWMV 88.5 FM in Mountain View. Now, that station also has a radio app that you can put on your phone and listen directly. That's kwmvradio.com. And I actually belong to a thing called Mixcloud, and that's a podcast where you can rebroadcast and listen again to the show. And I post that on Facebook. So mostly that's where I'm working, is the Facebook app. And so you can find me at Arkansas Cowboy Radio on Facebook, or Donald Kevin Tuckfield. Both of those are my names on Facebook, where we advertise the show on Thursdays on the schedule on what's going to play. And then on Friday at noon, you can listen to the show both on the internet, and then after the show is over, once it's done, then I post the re-ride on Facebook so that you can connect with Mixcloud directly and listen to the show.
So beyond your own podcast and your own broadcast there on KWMV, are there other places people could go to hear and enjoy cowboy music?
The show, Circuit Rider Roundup, is actually a syndicated show and is on 4 or 5 Western channels. And the main one out there is AmericanCowboyRadio.com out of Guthrie, Texas. And they rebroadcast his show. So I'm really proud of Alan. He's really he won the DJ of the year for the International Western Music Association last year in 2023. Him and his wife, Jill Kirkham, they have Alan and Jill on Circuit Rider Roundup. And so that was the first time that an all gospel show had won the award. And their show has now blossomed into 2 hours and syndicated on about 5 different radio channels out there.
Well, then also the album that we've been talking about, Kingdom Domain, your new project. Where can people go to either purchase a CD or stream it online?
Sure. Well, contact me on Facebook, or you can stream it at all the major sites, Amazon, Spotify, Apple Music. Those are the main ones where it's currently being held. Also, I have a website at kevintuckfield.bandzoogle.com. That sounds kind of funny, but that's kind of how that happened. But it's ZOOGLE, bandzoogle.com.
Well, Kevin, it's a great CD, and congratulations to you on what you're doing to promote Arkansas music and culture through looking at that cowboy culture from our state on your radio program. Thanks so much for visiting with us today here on KASU.
You bet, and thank you so much for getting us a radio person to help us get started, and congratulations to you for being the nominated DJ of the Year at the Arkansas Country Music Association. I hope to see you down there.